it's Chris. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm ready for work. I'm heading to work in a little bit, but I wanted to make this quick video. And please subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff so you get notified next time I make a video. I wanted to really talk about, I'm going to post an old video, repost an old video that I made back in like 2013, 2014. But I really feel that it's still applicable. But I wanted to premise it a little bit because some of the stuff that I said in the video, when I'm talking in the video, the way I stand on it today is that I'm talking about brand new vendors. Maybe you've only been open a couple weeks, or you're thinking of opening. You're thinking of getting into the wax world. These are my suggestions and what I think is the most important thing about before you even open. Okay, so, because I knew I was going to just re-upload it, but standing on its own two legs, like, I could see where people might sort of be, you know, like, I don't really understand this kind of thing. So, you know, I talk about testing in this video, and I still stand by it. So what I say about who you should have test and all that other stuff and everything, like, I still stand by the points that I make, but I just wanted to kind of let you know, because there's so many new wax vendors out there. Quick disclaimer, in the video I say that I will not test, because as you guys know, I test for vendors. I have a couple sitting here. I've just been waiting for them to cure. Even though they said it doesn't need cure time, I still like to wait for stuff to cure. And we've had a lot of heat. The air conditioning's been on. So I'm kind of just waiting for, you know, optimal, you know, situations. But mostly the cure time, just to make sure. Even if you've only been open for a few weeks, it's kind of about vendors being able to take constructive criticism, and the difference between, you may be doing great, you maybe have so many customers, even repeat customers. The problem is that they may be new to the wax world, and they may think that your wax is the bee's knees, right? And maybe you didn't test that much, or maybe you had all your friends and family test, or whatever the situation is, and you didn't have independent people testing who are going to be brutally honest with you. You know, I always say test, 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 and test. You know, like, really, really make sure that you have at least, you know, 4 independent people that don't know your wax, don't know you, are not biased in any sort of way. Because people don't necessarily try to be biased. They just are if they know you. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it as a negative. It's just they are. That's human nature. If you're thinking of opening, or you've only been open up for a few weeks, and you want me to test for you, I do state in that video, and that's how I felt at the time, and I do still feel that way to a point. Like, if you are not going to take what I have to say to heart, and again, it's not, people have asked me to make wax. People have said, why don't you make wax? Why? I just can't be bothered. It's not something that I think I would enjoy. It's just not. I don't know, because I haven't tried, but I do have enough experience about that kind of stuff. But my point being is that I say in that video, if you are not willing to close shop after you hear what I have to say, and work with me, close shop and work with me, which I think is kind of funny that, you know, close shop, just close shop. I mean, most people these days, most of the new vendors don't have RTS anyway, so they're closed for long periods of time to begin with. And work with me and others, like, it doesn't have to be me, but and others, to figure out what is wrong, what do I change, what can make this better, what do we think is the problem? Because I put lots and lots of hours into testing, and those who have already sent me some stuff for testing know that, and that's why they send it to me. I keep spreadsheets, and I make notes, and I make videos on it, not for your public, not for public consumption, but for them. And I don't want to waste your time, nor you waste mine. If you have no intention of changing anything, if you just want my opinion, you can send me some wax for review. That's fine. But then don't get mad if I give you my honest opinion. So that video, while the points are valid, and I still stick by all those points, but what I was saying is if I'm going to test for you, and I don't feel this way now because a lot of people have been open for a few years, but I do still feel like if I test for you and everything is a dud, not that I think that would happen, but I do expect you to make changes. Otherwise, why are you coming to me? Does that make sense? Obviously, if you're coming to me, you think that there's something that needs improvement. We could always use improvement. You know, with that being said, you're going to see the video, and I still stand by all the points, but I think the new vendors really need to hear this. A lot of new vendors are saying, we're selling out of everything. Our wax is perfect. Our customers are loyal, and they just keep buying, buying, buying. And that may be the case, but maybe they're loyal to you and they haven't branched out yet. If they're new to the wax world, they haven't branched out yet. As soon as they branch out to someone like Candles by Victoria, or, and I'm not saying your wax isn't as good as Candles by Victoria. I'm just using it an example. So those of you who are new to my channel, please don't jump on me. Like, realize, like, I try to make analogies and examples, and I'm never trying to put anybody down. But my point being is, they may think that, because we all did this when we first started melting. We would get a vendor and be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing wax ever. And we would purchase again and purchase again and purchase again, right? And we never really ventured out. And I've been seeing this in a lot of the chat threads or whatever, chat groups or whatever, you know, Facebook groups. And they're like, well, who do you recommend? Because I'm new and I don't really know or whatever. And those are the people that I'm trying to tell you that they may see your name and go, wow, someone I've never heard of. And you maybe you've been open a month, right? Or just a couple months. And they're going to be loyal to you and they're going to melt your wax and they're going to go, wow, it's amazing. It's really good, because they don't know anything else. But then they may go to, you know, Joe Schmo Wax and go, wow, okay, this is what wax is supposed, how it's supposed to throw and how it's supposed to smell, and it's supposed to be this strong, and it's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? So with all that being said, I'm going to repost this video because it's for new wax vendors, and I think it's really important. And so I love you guys, and watch the video.
Listen, I'm just posting a little kind of informational video out there for people. This is on new vendors. And as everybody knows, I love supporting new vendors. There has been a plethora, I love that word, plethora of new vendors popping out of the woodworks here and there, all over the wax boards. A couple things that I just want to say about this. Of course, new wax, I mean, always love it, right? I know a lot of people are very, very hesitant about buying from new vendors. And I'm going to tell you what I believe, this is my opinion, the main reason is that a lot of people get new vendors wax and are very disappointed. And I think that is coming from lack of testing on the new vendor's part. And when I say testing, guys, I'm not speaking of you testing it yourself. Of course you have to test yourself, but I'm not specifically speaking of you testing it yourself, meaning the new vendors, or having your friends and family test. This is so, so important. If there's one rule that I could give new vendors, it would be test, test, test again, test again. And this applies to before you start selling. Once you have sold a piece of product to a customer and they try it, and if they don't like it, it is so hard to come back from. So first impressions are so super, super important. I know everybody gets overzealous, they get overexcited, they send them to their friends and family, and their friends and family are like, oh, it's wonderful, it's great, you know, that's lovely. The problem with that is that friends and family want you to succeed, and they're very close to you, so it's very hard to get an objective opinion from friends and family. That's the honest truth. So, and I know people are like, oh no, my friends are always, you know, honest, but I'm not saying they're being deceitful in any way. Like, they're not trying to be deceitful. It just puts them sort of in a position where it's a lot harder than it would be for an independent tester to say, you know what, it was okay, but it really could use some more work, that kind of thing. You know, really didn't throw for me, it only threw for a couple to whatever, it was super light, whatever the critique is. So test, test, and test again, guys, and to my new vendors out there, and before you sell your first piece of wax. I mean, that's the main subject of this video. I'm going to elaborate a little bit, but that's the main subject advice that I can give, because it's like I said, I've been with vendors from the first pour till they open, and some that I've worked with again, and I finally get to the point where I'm like, yes, you got it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, first time, not so good. Okay, second time, yeah, a little better. Third time, you're getting there. And then the fourth time, yes, you got it. You know what I mean? Go for it. Then open up shop. And, I firmly believe, I mean, there's so many people on the wax boards. Watch the wax boards. Watch who melts a lot. Watch who participates a lot. You can get a lot of good testers out there that would be willing to test for you. So as opposed to friends and family, we all love our friends and family, of course, and they always want the best for us. But there are also testers out there like myself that want the best for you too. I want everyone to succeed. I want all small vendors to succeed. I want all newbies to succeed, new vendors to succeed, because that's just more choices for me. Like, yay, I love it, I feel like it really can be no such thing as too many wax vendors. You always want those choices, who's your favorites, who's and you can kind of compile your own list according to your experiences. I'm finding a lot of people with new vendors are just not, they're very, very hesitant to purchase. So if you're a new vendor and you have not gotten a lot of sales or anything like that, I really think, or if you got sales but you're not getting repeat customers, you may open up shop. This is probably what will happen is you will open up shop, right? Everybody will be excited because you're a new vendor. They will want to try you. They will place orders with you. And then you will hear nothing. Sales will drop off. You won't get those repeat customers. And you're probably sitting there going, what's going on? Like when I opened, it was like, wow, everybody was like coming out of the woodwork. Yes, because people want to try new stuff. But then they try it and there's obviously an issue. A lot of people, a lot of customers also, not myself, but a lot of customers also are really hesitant to come forward and say to a vendor, you know what? It really didn't work. It just didn't work. Whatever the reason was, whether they couldn't really, didn't really have any smell, or it just stuck around the bowl, there was really no throw, whatever the complaint or critique is, they feel bad. And so they don't want to hurt feelings. And I don't think it's a matter of hurting feelings. I don't think you need to hurt someone's feelings, but I think you really need to, especially new vendors, or they're still learning. But I really feel like if you're in the still learning phase, you really need to not sell. Because like I said, what's going to happen is you're going to get all these sales, and that's great, and you're going to get all happy, and you're going to think, oh, wow, this is wonderful. And then people are going to melt it and go, it's just not there. And you're not going to get repeat customers. And unfortunately, if you continue to sell that product, you're going to have more and more customers, more and more people on the wax boards going, don't try this person. They're not any good. That's just how it works. That's how the cookie crumbles, you guys. You gotta have a thick skin to sell wax. I mean, think of yourself as a customer. I mean, you were a customer once at some point. Obviously, you became addicted to wax. You love wax, and you're like, wow, I could probably do this. It's a lot harder and a lot more complicated than people make out to be. Everyone says to me, Chris, make wax. You know what? I haven't made wax because I am not going to make, I have materials to make wax. I haven't made it yet. I don't have the time to commit. I don't have the space to commit. When I make wax, when I choose to, if and when I choose to, it's going to be the best wax that I can produce through and learning through testing, independent people, not friends, not family, and listening to all critiques, taking notes, changing what needs to be changed, that kind of stuff. It's very expensive, guys. It's very expensive. It's very labor intensive. It's not take some wax, take some fragrance oil, take some dye, mix it up, you're good to go. It's not that. Even if you get wonderful cold sniff, doesn't mean a thing. If you put it in the warmer and it does nothing, cold sniff doesn't mean anything. Of course, we all love good cold sniff, but if you go to melt it, which is the whole purpose, and it doesn't throw, then you really got nothing. So that's the best advice I could give, guys. Test, and test again, and test. Did I say test? Test, test, test. Did I mention test? I hope I mentioned test. Um, and I'm not, like I said, I'm really not trying to bash any new vendors out there, anything like that. But I kind of feel if you're already selling, you've already put your name out there. All of this testing should have been done before you started selling, not afterwards. I will make a few exceptions or whatever, but only if you promise me that you're going to take my critiques to heart. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. And if you have no intention of reformulating, and when I say reformulating, I mean closing down shop. Closing down shop. Do not sell any more of the, old wax should you decide to reformulate. Throw that in the garbage. I know it sounds harsh, but wax vendors, the big wax vendors out there have thrown away tons and tons and tons of wax that just doesn't work. They don't try and sell it to people as they're reformulating and then come out and say, oh, I reformulated. People don't care at that point. All they care is they got crappy wax from you, and that's all there is. So they don't want to hear, I reformulated. Oh, and I reformulated again. Oh, look, I reformulated again. You've lost them at that point. Before you even open up shop, and say you've opened up shop already, okay, and you've sold, and either I or somebody else gets back to you and says, you know what? It's not working. Things need to be tweaked. Stuff needs to be done. This is not your best, and like I said, I'm not asking anybody to compete with Rose Girls or Front Porch or Candles from the Keeping Room. You need to do the best that you possibly can do. Okay. But with that in mind, you gotta kind of be on the same playing field as vendors out there. It all has to happen before. Because I've had a lot of instances where people will send me items to test. That takes up my time. I test from you from morning till night, from the time the tart starts to the time the tart ends, to know how long it throws for, in what warmer, whatever the thing is. It's a lot of time. I'm constantly taking notes, then I do videos, then I send them to you. And I've had a lot of people that just continue, I'll give them a not so good, testing results, and they just continue to sell. And I do say, hey, you know what? Do with it what you will. I can't tell any vendor what to do. These are just my suggestions because I know so many people are like, I'm new and I can't get my name out there. Nobody will buy from me. Or, oh, I had all these amazing sales at the beginning and now no one will purchase. That is why they won't purchase. They will not purchase because it's not working. So you kind of have to read between the lines. And, they go, I don't get it. I don't understand. You got to kind of read between the lines. And if people are not coming back for more, there's a reason. That's kind of what I want to say, guys. And it's really important. This is super important. And like I said, so now I'm kind of telling people who come to me and say, I want you to test. I'm like, okay, but I notice you're already selling. That's a problem for me. All of this testing should have been done beforehand, and you should not have opened up shop, or you should not have started selling until you knew that this was the best possible product. But I will test for you on the condition that you will listen to my critique. And like I said, I'm not the only one. And I'm not saying just have me test, obviously, have other independent. There's a lot of people in the wax groups. You can find people that melt a lot and have tried a plethora of different companies. Those are probably the people that you should reach out to and say, hey, listen, I just started and I'd really like to get at least 3 or 4. At least, because everybody's noses are different. Send them a couple samples. You don't have to go nuts with it. I mean, I know new vendors, it's hard, it's expensive. You've spent all this money on supplies and everything like that. I understand that. I'm not saying send them the whole box. You don't have to send them every fragrance you have. Just send a few things and then go from there. And really listen to what they have to say. Compare notes. If you have 4 people, independent people testing, not family and friends. I'm going to keep repeating that. I'm sorry, but it's super important. I feel it's super important. Compare notes. You know what I mean? Like if they're saying, yeah, it throws, but it's, it's starting off at a light, or it's starting off, or it's only throwing for 2 hours, or it's sticking around the bowl. Like, take notes of all that and compare so you kind of can get a gist of what the problem may be. That's really it, guys. That's all I really have to say on this subject. But I feel this is super duper duper important, because I've noticed so many people now. I'm selling wax, I'm selling wax, I'm selling wax, I'm selling wax, which I think is great. Not I'm selling wax. How about I'm doing wax? I'm testing out. I'm thinking of opening. Get your testers, do this. I mean, I know people who have really done their homework have tested for about 6 months to a year, no lie, before they've opened up shop and started selling product, because they know how important it is that once you make that first impression, coming back from that is next to impossible. It really, really is. So that's all I have to say, guys. Test, test, test. Before. Independent, 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 not family and friends, not even yourself. When you're pouring this stuff, you tend to get candle nose. So, it gets to the point where I've had vendors, seasoned vendors say, I can't smell anything anymore. But they've got their product down, so they kind of know, well, it's going to throw. So that's a little different. But I mean, even with the new vendors, it's like, you get to a point where if you throw something in your 25 or your 24 watt hot plate and it throws, and you leave it there for 15 minutes and you turn it off, you're like, okay, that's good. No, that's not testing, because anything should throw in a 24 watt. If it doesn't throw, you obviously have a dud. If it throws, but you're only leaving it on for 15 minutes, then what do you know? How do you know how long it threw? I mean, that tart may only throw for an hour. I mean, if someone gets that, they're going to be so upset. They're going to be like, what's, come on, really? Because they're paying their hard-earned money, just like you pay your hard-earned money to make the wax. They're paying their hard-earned money to buy the wax. And so everybody wants the bang for the buck. Those are my things. Before you open, not afterwards. And, let me just backtrack a little bit, like Chris loves to do, how Chris's brain works. What I was saying about, if you've already opened and you want me to test, I have no problem with that, but I do expect, I'm not going to lie, I mean, this is my time. I do expect you, if I come to you and say, you know what, hon? No, it's not working. Like, it's just not. This is what I'm getting. This is what's happening. And you're not willing to close shop. And I'm not just saying based on my opinion. I'm saying if you have like 3 or 4 people and you're kind of getting all the same feedback, and you're not willing to close shop and say, listen, such and such wax is closed until, I'm working on reformulating. I want to be bigger and better. I want to supply the best product available. And so this is what's happening. Always be open and honest with customers, and just say, this is the deal. Close up shop. And then test, test, test. Just continue the whole testing product until people are like, yes, bang, yes, you got it, yes, amazing, yes, wonderful. I love the excuse when people have been open a while and I say something and they're like, wow, you're the first person to say that. Or I've never heard that before. Drives me nuts, because A, I either don't believe you, or B, like I said, people don't like to complain. They will complain. Let me tell you, they will complain behind your back on wax boards or in PMs. They will complain, okay? So don't think that just because people are not coming to you directly and have a complaint or have a suggestion or have an observation does not mean that it's not getting around, because it is getting around. So that's why I say independent, independent, independent. And just make sure you're producing the best quality product that you can produce. Be you, of course. But, everybody has room for improvements. Even old vendors, old veteran vendors have room for improvement. Everybody knows there's no 100% perfect. Those are my suggestions, guys, to new vendors. So this is all to all my new vendors, or anybody thinking of, like I said, am I willing to test for someone that contacts me and say, hey, I'm a new vendor. My name is such and such. I just started selling a month ago. I'd like you to test. Yeah, I'm willing to, as long as you're willing to listen to constructive criticism and really take it into heart. If I say, you know what, really nothing. Like, if you want to compete and you want to have a business and you want to be on par with some of these other vendors, and I'm not saying strive to be them. Obviously, your wax is your own creation. It's what sets you apart, but wax throw is wax throw. Wax longevity is wax longevity. You know, that's what people are looking for. So if that stuff is just not up to par, then, you know, I don't know what to say. You know, if you're not willing to listen to that, then I would really rather you not waste my time. I don't want you to send me stuff, waste your time sending me stuff, if you're not going to be open and say, okay, listen, I'm going to shut doors for a while, guys, because I need to work on this some more. People will respect that so much more than if you just continue to sell as if nothing is wrong, you know, knowing that there is something. That is very deceitful in my eyes, and I don't like seeing that. And not saying that you guys do it on purpose. Like I said, I know, you know, if say that is the case, people will come back, you know, to you, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Look at all this wax I have. Look at all this fragrance oils I have. What do I do? I spent all this money and, you know, now this is a bust, blah, blah, blah. Take a deep breath. You know what I mean? Think about, seriously, listen to the critiques. Think about what you can do. Reformulate your wax. You got to just work on it more. You know, whether you are into mixing your own waxes, whether or not you, like I said, you got to throw away that bag of wax that you just paid a lot of money for because it just doesn't work, and go with something else. It costs money. It's not a slap together business. It's just not. And like I said, too many people out there think that. And I think that is why a lot of people now, a ton of people actually now, are just like, you know what, I'm staying away from all new vendors. And that makes me sad because, like I said, a lot of you guys, I'm sure, have great potential, or you're either already great or you have great potential, and nobody wants to give you a chance because they've been burned too many times by new vendors who have not tested before they opened. Not to family and friends, to independent people, really listened, really took notes, really did their research, that kind of thing. So anyway, guys, those are my 2 cents. If they mean anything to anybody, I just really, like I said, I really like to see new vendors, and I really like to see new vendors succeed. And it makes me sad when people are like, I'm not purchasing from new vendors. When I see posts like that, it makes me sad because new vendors are usually the people that I like to purchase from first. I'm one of those people. Oh, a new vendor. Yay. Let's make an order. I may order only 5-cent shots from you or whatever, because I am cautious like everybody else. You know, beforehand, test. I don't care if it takes 6 months. I don't care if it takes a year. If you're going to do it right. Don't half-ass it. Not saying that you're half-assing it on purpose, of course. You know what I mean? But really realize the work and stuff that you need to put into this, and the money that needs to be put into this. There's no really cheap way of doing this correctly. If you're going to do it correctly, it's not going to be cheap. That's it. So anyway, that's what I have to say, guys, to all my new vendors or people who are thinking of selling wax out there. Those are my tips. Hope you guys get some good information out of this, and take care. Mwah!